Hello, welcome back here in the CAYDEN'S Weather Center. Right now, we are paying attention here to Invest 94L here. It is October 14, 2024, and we're paying attention to Invest 94L as it continues to move off to the west here in the MDR, and we'll continue to pay attention to it as it could impact the islands, parts of Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, and possibly maybe even in the future the Bahamas and Cuba. We'll have to keep an eye out, obviously, on that. We're going to go over the models here. We're going to go over all of that, but just as of the 2 p.m. advisory here, we do have a new area of interest over here in the Western Caribbean Sea. Most of the models keeping it off, so maybe another video will be on that, but right now our main focus is on Invest 94L, and now it does have a 60% chance of formation here in the next 7 days, so that's a pretty good odds that we'll be seeing a tropical depression by the end of this week, as it will be heading into a little bit more of that favorable environment once it gets into this orange zone right here. Take a look here on satellite. We can see definitely a lot of thunderstorms did blow up this morning and then started to die down. But now we do have more thunderstorms starting to blow up now. A lot of convection starting to blow up. As you can see, not a very big system or anything, not a lot going on the satellite here, but definitely something to pay attention to with the possible intensifying thunderstorms right in this area. So it's a very small storm. We can see that spin kind of sitting right on the southern side and the eastern side of that of all the thunderstorms that are kind of blowing up over here, but it's a very small system. But as this storm continues to push over here to the west, it's going through a lot of that dry air, and that's kind of why we're not seeing this storm most likely going to be forming here in this region right now. So it's not looking as organized as it should be, but it is a low pressure system. So obviously it's still marked by the National Hurricane Center and could possibly form here later this week, but right now it is going through a lot of dry air, so that's kind of what's holding it back currently from forming into anything big. Take a look here at the spaghetti models here. We can clearly see the 12Z spaghetti models. We can mostly see that there's a little bit of that spread starting around 48 hours out here. Some models do bring it up more to the north. Some models bring it off to the south. It all depends on the intensity of the storm here, and I'll explain that here when we get to the ensembles. But once again, with all hurricanes that we usually pay attention to, the stronger storms do go up more to the north here, and the weaker storms do stay off more to the south here. Just, on how it is, so the stronger storms do like to go a little bit more off to the north here. It does seem like some of these models do bring it into the islands here, as we will be having a big kind of high pressure kind of building in over the United States here, and kind of blocking it and keeping it going off to the west here, and not really, this will also be the Bermuda high that will block it as well. So that's going to cause this storm to continue to move off to the west over here. Then we take a look over here once it gets over here into the parts of eastern Cuba and the Dominican Republic and Haiti, and then possibly even Jamaica here in the future. Could be seeing some development in this area. We could be seeing a possible tropical system or a hurricane hitting your area pretty, in the next, 6 days. This is still pretty far out, 6 to 7 days, very far out still. And then Puerto Rico, some of those models yesterday did have it kind of over Puerto Rico, but now has pushed up to the north a little bit more. So that's good news for Puerto Rico. Taking a look here at the Euro ensembles, we kind of can clearly see there's that low pressure that we're paying attention to right here in the mid-Atlantic. We're going to continue to see that push off over here to the west, and you can see some of those models very weak of a system already, and then we start to see a little bit more of that formation starting here with better odds of forming in those darker blues right there, and then heading into the green and the yellows. And some of those models see very split still. We can clearly see some of these models, the stronger models do bring it up over here to the north, kind of just pull it right out, and then the weaker models do bring it over here down into the south. So that's something that we could be paying attention to. For a more weaker system, we could be seeing it going a little bit more to the south. For a stronger system, it could have that time to get pulled up to the north, as it will try to find a break in that ridge, and it will continue to push up and race off to the northeast. But obviously that's something to pay attention to as we go on throughout the next couple of days. The GFS ensemble still kind of agreeing with it, but did say it kind of dies down a little bit here, and then we'll start to possibly maybe even be a little bit stronger here than what the Euro isn't saying, but not as many models are saying, the storm forming here as much as the European models. But still, once again, we obviously see some models do bring it over here up to the north here, finds that same type of break in the ridge there, and that would bring it up. But then some models still bring it off to the south here. So that obviously, I would say if you still live in these islands right here, this is an area you need to be paying attention to. This is a tropical system that you definitely want to be watching very closely here. So let's take a look here at the GFS model run here. We can see this is the brand new 12Z model run. We can clearly see, something obviously will be forming down here in the Western Caribbean, and we'll definitely see that storm possibly head right into Central America. And then we have, this is our, this is a possible strong tropical storm just north of Puerto Rico here, according to the GFS, and this will be on October 19th. So probably by the end of this week, we'll be seeing this storm. The GFS does kind of bring it just above north Puerto Rico, and then brings it right into the Dominican Republic, and then we'll push it off to the west here, and we'll see that with the GFS model run. Then gets into the Caribbean, then does get pulled off to the north, but kind of just dissipates as it goes over eastern Cuba, according to the GFS. So a little bit of an interesting track this storm will be taking here. We kind of see it head into this region, kind of gets stuck over here, and then dies right over here. So a little bit of an interesting track that we'll be paying attention to, but once again, the reason is because we do see that big high pressure that is kind of sitting over, so that's going to protect, from the storm going up to the north here, until it possibly could find that, break in the ridge. If it's a stronger storm, it could get pulled off to the north. The European model here, we can clearly see something to pay attention to as well, because these are our main operational runs. A little bit of a later start here for this storm, 1,008 millibars, so a tropical, maybe a tropical depression, tropical storm could be forming there. Then does head off to the south, but the Euro keeping it a very, very weaker storm here, and then kind of will get picked up by a front and brings it up over here to the northeast. So something to pay attention to very closely here, but the Euro is saying it's going to be a lot weaker. The European model has not been the best with the intensity forecast this season so far on all the storms. So it's definitely something to pay attention to, definitely. Taking a look here at the Euro AI, we can clearly see there's that storm right there. No low pressure has formed off of it yet, but then we'll most likely be seeing that here in the next couple of, model runs, or, in the next couple of days. We'll see a little bit of low pressure pop up over here, over the Dominican Republic and Haiti, and then it will start to get pulled off to the north here, and that is what will make that the storm a little bit stronger here, as there's a high pressure there. Cold front will be coming down, and that's kind of going to block it from the United States. So the good news is we most likely will not be seeing this storm hit the United States, so that is very, very good news here, especially when we don't need it anymore. Taking a look here at the Euro ensembles, once again, still paying attention to that Western Caribbean. That could bring in something, and then also this part right here, that's some of those ensemble models that we're paying attention to, and you can see majority of the European models do bring it up over here to the north here, and possibly could be impacting Bermuda. So Bermuda, make sure to keep your eyes on this, but mostly right now the biggest area that we want to pay attention to is the islands right here, just in case of a little bit of a track shift and all of that. So it's something to pay attention to as we go on. The GFS ensemble saying a little bit more of a stronger storm over here down here in the Western Caribbean that will head inland from there, and then we'll see a little bit of those models over here just north of the Dominican Republic, and that will bring a little bit more of a stronger storm than what the European is saying. And then we can clearly see some of those models still kind of bring it over here and then kind of back out into the Atlantic. So that's once again just like that. Bermuda needs to be on the lookout just in case if this storm heads out. I wouldn't be on too alert right now, but it's something to pay attention to as this storm does start to progress and starts to form a little bit more. So thank you so much for watching here. Make sure to stay tuned with following my X page down in the description here for the latest information on Invest 94L, and then the brand new area of interest that is in the Western Caribbean as well. We're going to pay attention to the storm as it continues to move off over here to the west. Is there a likely threat here for the United States? Most likely the storm will not hit the United States right now, and it most likely will not be a United States storm. So that's good news, because definitely Florida needs a break after getting 3 landfalls so far this season. But also this storm is just not looking, like a major hurricane or anything like that right now. It's not looking like any big storm that could form here, as it is heading through a lot of unfavorable environment. But the big question is what will it be like once we get out of that unfavorable environment? It starts to get a little bit more organized, but you can obviously see that spin here on the satellite. So make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Make sure to follow my X page down in the description for the latest updates, and make sure if you have any questions, put it down in the comments. I will try to answer them as best as I possibly can. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all stay safe, and thank you, and have a nice rest of your day. Bye-bye.